Hey everyone, back again. This is a week 8 review for Safety 43683. I'd like to discuss the results of the quiz 8 or week 8 quiz and go over some of the questions you all had difficulty with. And then discuss some of the things I observed in the week 1 update for the loss run data analysis project. Look ahead to this coming week and what's due, and then also discuss some upcoming changes for the course. Here's a comparison for the online section, which has both grads and undergrads, against the face-to-face, which just has undergrads. Scores are very similar. That was interesting. As far as the online undergrad and we're looking at the quiz here, it was an average of 5.8 for the undergrad in the online and 7.1. 7.1 was the overall. Grad students did significantly better, as they have in the past. As far as the time goes, the face-to-face, that doesn't count the 2.5 hours we're together each week. That's just the online. The touches are a little bit lower. Interesting that the undergrad online is becoming very similar to their counterparts, even touching things a little bit more. That's great. And then as far as grades go, everything seems to be exactly where I would expect it to be. Again, the classroom are spending less time on the quiz, but performing well. So that's interesting. Some of the questions that people had difficulty with: which entity in Wisconsin enforces the work comp laws? It is the Department of Workforce Development. That was brought up in the lecture and in some of the readings. Some of you put the Wisconsin Credit Compensation Rating Bureau. They're the ones who come up with the ratings for the policy class code. Therefore, they're also generating the base policy amounts, the premiums, and then they also calculate the EMR for each company, or the mod rate. The next question: is there a ceiling for medical benefits? No, there isn't. And Jim had talked about that the payment follows the worker. The worker could leave the company they're at and it's still going to get paid, what they're due. So it's infinite. There is no limit. The worker's annual wage, that's for the wage benefit, not for the medical benefit. Medical benefit is as much as it takes. I wanted to see how you all did with these. So which one of these disability categorizations matches when you had to check a column I of the 300 log? H is days away, I is restricted transfer. So that would be considered no lost time, there is a restriction. So it's temporary partial, and that's right through here, temporary partial, TPD. Similarly, if it's under H, it's days away. So that would be total partial. And the answer is, temp total. Temp total. So they have to stay home, but it's just temporary. That's right. See, even I get it mixed up. Jim, I always want Jim to talk about the EMR and why it's so important to have an early return to work program, because when you have a claim that is medical only, it only counts towards the EMR at a 30% rate. And I put the actual primary losses for medical only losses, injury type 6, the primary value is reduced by 70%. So it's added at a 30%. What is the loss ratio? I specifically asked Jim to talk about this a little bit. He did. It is at 60%. What that basically means is that the expected amount, let's say the expected amount was, the expected amount, or what is assumed to be allotted, would be 100,000. The premium amount is 100,000. The expected amount would be 60. That's the rule of thumb a lot of places go by. Jim said 60 to 65%. Loss ratio is what most companies or organizations go by. So if you have any questions about the quiz, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to discuss it with you. For the update for number 1, as far as the breakdown goes, so the classroom had a little bit lower, but it's because one student did not read the instructions, and what they submitted was completely incorrect. That's what drains down. If I deleted that from this pretty much all worked out. The grad students did very well. There was only like 1 or 2 that didn't do exactly what was expected, But for the most part, I think everybody's pretty much in line and understands it. What I have here on the screen is one of the best submissions. This student took my advice and even went beyond it and provided some pie charts for the breakdown of the different subtotals. They also did the open and close, and then this looks very professional. Everything's nice and aligned. All the fonts are good, all the units are good, and they provided a title for it. They also, was their description. It was well written out. Here was their distribution. I think they did a great job. It's very visual. I can see what's going on here. I know what I'm looking at. And again, another really good explanation. So for any of you who are like, well, what did he want? This is what I wanted. Okay? Something, put the time in so it looks professional and is very clean, clear, and detailed. The student did an excellent job. She's been kicking butt all semester. So thank you, Holly. Okay. So some of the other observation tips, make sure you do read the instructions. Some of you must have missed a few things. Make sure you read it all through. Make sure the presentation is professional. It's so important at this point. It's something in previous semesters that I ignored, and then the final product was always bad. So quality management would indicate try to change things up front. And so that is, I do want you to play around with, there are videos to watch to instruct you. But I think playing around is the best, and make it look professional. Make sure that the table, it's got proper spacing, it's got proper explanation, it has a title. It'd be nice if you could create a number. Consider the reader when you're reporting. Don't just reiterate, you're going to talk about the important things you learned, then you're just reiterating what's in the table. Give it some texture, okay? Some context. And then make sure all the tables and figures are well crafted. I'm kind of repeating what I say here, broke it down. Try to give it a number, because as you're working on your draft technical report, it will be assigned a number. So you should probably start a list of your tables and figures by number and title. This week, we're going to be getting into analyzing outliers, and I created the videos. This took a lot of time. I put in extensive hours over the weekend and late last week to combine 10 semesters or 5 years of this project to try to understand, to see if there's something more objective that I'm missing when trying to instruct students how to select outliers. And it didn't turn out the way I wanted, but I found some interesting insights, and I share that in the videos. So analyze for the outliers, pull them out, compare the descriptive tables before and after, or with or without the outliers, and then actually look at the outliers themselves. What do they represent? Read the descriptives. This will be, that's what I want you to do, is kind of give me an insight to what was there. You can put the distribution chart showing the cutoffs, that, just like we did with the bigger distribution, but this is for identifying outliers. The summary tables and what that means. Then we do the fiscal analysis, and this is where I found there was a problem. I didn't realize it. I would never think to look for it, but there's a 6-year gap in our data. It ends in some month in 2011 and picks up again in 2017. I was really worried when I found it. I had to stop the recording and kind of regather myself, but I went forward with it, and I did the plot and found that we can use the final 5 years, no problem, and we can actually then later on compare it back to the original 2 or 3 years. It might only be 2, 2010, 2011. I think it's only 2. Just to see what the comparison is before and after the big 6-year gap. But it worked out. And the outliers that I selected and removed made a difference. And I'm pretty proud of that. So watch the videos, go ahead and work on it. After this week, you should be able to answer the question, how is the quality of the data set? A big one is the gap in years. The second is that there's only about 3 policy class codes and 1 dominates. And you can look and see what that is. So now we're going to have to use accident location next week in order to try to break down where to focus. If not, then it's going to be more of a generalized, just focus on the cause. I haven't had to do that before. This is a very, very unique data set compared to previous years, and it keeps surprising me. So sure, there'll be more issues we come up with. But for the most part, I like where we are with it. So please watch the videos. And I don't typically rewatch my videos with too much focus, but I did these and I enjoyed it. Just because I was so elated that I was able to find a quick solution or a different approach based on the limited data that wasn't there. Make sure you are providing explanations. to every tab. That's something I'll grade later on, but what you're doing each week is meant to build up to it. And then for this week's assignment, the lecture videos are very focused on outliers. I did provide two things I'd like you to look at. The DWD Workers' Compensation Guide and a link to an article on work comp experience rating. I want to try to supplement. Some of you said you were confused by the EMR, and so I'm trying to provide a reference for you. So summarize those, a little bit about the demos. But what I want you to do is try to write about 3 pages of your introduction, because you have 2 big questions answered after this week. I want this technical report to start taking shape. And I'm not going to grade it. I'm just going to look and see that you're thinking about it. But in like a week or two, I'm actually going to start considering it as a big part of the grade, especially based on something I have to ask you. And that is, before I get to the ask, if you have computer technical issues, please contact ICIT, which is the Computer Help Desk or Technology Help Desk at Whitewater. It's difficult. I'm not going to be able to diagnose problems with your laptops or with Excel. I might, as it pertains to the analysis, but I'm not a technician that way. I did set up the office hours for Thursday and Sunday at 8 p.m. If those times don't work for you, reach out to me and we can do a one-on-one. Based on questions I've got from several students, you're saying that the time that had to be put in this last week was a lot more than you had expected, and you're concerned. So therefore, I'd like some feedback from you. See, just like I tried to teach you in this class, you got to get worker engagement, trying to get student engagement, get your input here. And that is, should we set aside all the lecture topics that I'd set up and just focus on the loss run data analysis each week to make sure you get it done? Because it's a big part of your grade. I understand that. To try to reduce the time. The other thing I had thought of, actually in between putting this together and having a phone call with a potential speaker. Actually, he's going to be a speaker. And what I had read that you had posted about Jim Jones's presentation, which was long. Should I be reaching out to these guest speakers and have maybe 10 questions? And they go through and answer those 10 questions and have that be sort of the supplement for that week. And then we could have the quizzes based on that. And maybe do away with the original design of the class. Would that be better? So I want you to think about that and reach out to me. You can email me or talk to classmates if you're part of the online class. I just want to know what would be best for all of you. I know, less time is always better, but I also want to make sure that you are experiencing everything this class was designed to provide. That's the better word. So please reach out to me if you could. I'll be talking to my face-to-face class today about it and see what they think, and I will render a decision by the end of this week. But I am going to try and peel things back, draw things in back a little bit, and make it a little bit easier for you. And I may actually provide more of what I had done this week, which is show you on your data set, just to make things a little bit easier, especially since the location issue is different. So I might have to do that. All right, so please reach out to me. Thank you.